wanted to get into kind of an underbelly of Vegas and to meet really people that were working in the sex trade in Vegas. I met this girl in a bar. She had a leopard print jumpsuit on with a heel platform, but, you know, it turned out she's like 5'1", but of course when you speak to her, she's like 5'7", so you don't quite, because she's wearing a heel this big. She had kind of a Betty Page hairdo, and I thought it was fabulous looking. Turned out she was working as a professional dominatrix in Vegas, which I didn't know anything about. Sounds very innocent. I mean, I had a fantasy about what it was. And she told me all these stories about how it worked and so on. And strangely enough, she actually wasn't involved with any of her customers sexually. That was what was quite interesting. It was all, she had one customer that booked her every Thursday at 2 o'clock sharp. She had to be there half an hour before. She would get into this outfit that you see here. And for 1 hour, she would blow smoke in his face. And for this, he paid her $1,000.
I've had the rare opportunity to meet many amazing photographers who move through their different landscapes to create powerful images. I'm always inspired by how these images transform the way we see people and understand the world. A great photograph needs no explanation, but on Capture, these incredible people tell the story of creating their most memorable images. I'm Mark Seliger, and this is Capture. We're here today in my studio with Lauren Bush and the great Albert Watson, one of my heroes when I was starting to take pictures.
Are you saying that I've been doing it longer than you, Mark?
Not really. I'm not saying that at all. Your amazing picture of Albert Hitchcock, it really encapsulated what I thought a great photograph was about, which was a great portrait.
I was an LA photographer at that time, doing whatever work I could get. Anything I could make a little bit of money with, I took it. Suddenly one day there was a call on the phone, and my wife took it and said Harper's Bazaar magazine's on the phone. I remember my voice shaking when I got on the phone with them, and they said, we'd like you to photograph somebody famous. Have you photographed celebrities before? And I said, well, not really. I said, well, who is it? They said, well, it's Alfred Hitchcock. So I mean, this was 1973. By this time, I had a small studio. You know, I knew a little bit about what I was doing, but nothing of any magnitude, you know? Very few people know he's a gourmet chef. He had a special recipe for cooking goose. Do you know the expression, you cook your own goose? So I thought about it. Alfred Hitchcock cooks his own goose. And I'll have him hold it by the neck like he strangled it. I always remember when I went into Universal Studios, on my driver's license, there was drops of sweat from me because I was so nervous and shaking. He was fantastic. It was the most important shot I ever did because it was a confidence builder. At one point he started to cry and he pulled out a handkerchief and was wiping away tears because he was upset about the goose, you know. Wow. So I mean, he was completely, I mean, he was Alfred Hitchcock. If you're dealing with people and you're photographing people who know they're being photographed, this is different to reportage. Your best weapon is your own personality. As long as that person begins to feel that wave, and it doesn't have to be a celebrity, it can be somebody in the street. Once they feel that and they become comfortable, then they will open up to you.
Lauren is kind of a hidden jewel in photography. Photography actually led you to your nonprofit work that you do now.
I get so inspired in traveling, and it was with that inspiration that I wanted to capture it and bring it home and share it with others. When I was taking these trips around the world with the World Food Program and learning about hunger and poverty and wanting to do more, and part of my wanting to do more, I thought, could be to capture pictures and tell the stories of people I met in places like Africa and Asia and Latin America, developing countries.
When you're working in Africa, how do you find that window to walk into something that is so emotional and so dark and be able to record it and put on that kind of war paint and be able to just do that?
I am very aware of the fact that I'm a white, woman coming in a UN vehicle to visit villages. I always struggle with being an outsider, being a visitor. I'm never there long enough. I don't, live in one of these villages for a year. Initially with photography, I think I almost used it as a way for me to have a purpose there, beyond just going and seeing and sort of, I feel like, intruding in some ways in people's lives. They're thrilled that their lives are being documented, and they feel important from that.
This was shot where?
That was shot in Rwanda. A lot of what I do when I travel is visiting schools. So the main program we support through FEED is school feeding, which means schools in 62 of the poorest countries around the world are getting free school lunches. And often it's the school lunch that gets kids to go to school and stay in school. This shot I took out of my window as we were leaving. So part of visiting schools is you're sort of this distraction for the day, and kids, you know, clamor around you. And this school in particular was kind of unruly. And as we were leaving, they sort of stormed the car, waving and kind of trying to get another look.
But your instinct was to pick up a camera rather than to wave or
yeah,
to watch
I just
what's
thought it
going
was,
on, which is very much about kind of being you know, on your toes and seeing a photograph come to you. And
it was just the sea of kids. It was all you could see, and that's what I wanted to capture with that. And I just got lucky because it's not something that you're, you know, posing or worrying about the light at that moment. You're just like literally rolling down the window and trying to get as many kids as you can.
And, I mean, I think you can always think about that later.
Yeah.
You know, but don't think about that first. Because
Yeah,
if you think
it
about
would've
it
been
first,
gone.
the shot's gone. This is how they do the lottery.
Yeah.
Albert?
All right.
Not that one. No, I'm kidding.
It's got a thumbprint on it.
Yeah.
What separates the good photographers from the great ones?
This is a question for Mark.
I think you should ask.
No, I think you should.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. I want to hear your answer.
I can give you an answer on that.
What? Tell me.
It's an easy one.
Tell me.
I don't find that difficult.
Tell me.
Memorability.
Nice.
Hands down. If you think about Cortez, you were telling the story about Cortez there, you remember that whole book.
Right.
I bet you do. And all great photography you remember. And sometimes good pictures, you try and remember them, but great pictures you remember.
Do you ever wonder what it would be like to quit your job and live a life you've always dreamed of?
A bad day in the islands still beats a good day in the office.
Join me, Savannah Jane Buffett, as I head to St. Croix to meet Nate Olive, an expat from Atlanta who moved down here to follow his passion of running a sustainable farm in paradise. And in the meantime, met the woman of his dreams.
What really made me a Virgin Islander was when I married Shelley.
You're really living the expat dream.
Paradise, I believe, is like what you make of it. My advice to expats, don't live on a place, live in a place.
This is it, man. This is the life.